G'day guys, it's Swiley here. I'm just going to start part 2 of the full node episodes on the myNode website. This is the actual software which I have downloaded on my Raspberry Pi, and I'll show you my setup just in a second. But effectively you can go to myNode btc.com and you can basically go to here, and you can actually download a community version for free, and that just gives you some sort of minimum functionality. But essentially you will be able to flash this onto an SD card and stick it in the back of a Raspberry Pi and get everything running. Now, personally, I recommend I recommend at least two guys to be able to go and give you a bit of a hand with actually doing all this sort of stuff. So on one hand, we've got BTC Sessions, who has done a couple of episodes here on how to build up a Raspberry Pi and do a myNode. And of course, a local Australian here, we've got Ministry of Nodes. So Ministry of Nodes has got a full series, like, all the way up to like 16 episodes. And yeah, he'll take you through step by step. He'll do everything from connecting, building, like what sort of devices to buy, and how to connect your wallets and do Whirlpool and all that sort of stuff. So that's just in case you're interested in the full kit and caboodle. So I will cut to my actual device, and you can have a bit of a look at that. And of course, I'm also going to include the NUC that I had as well, just so that you can actually see what I was running for Windows, and then we'll cut back to this. Okay, I got a fairly basic Raspberry Pi setup. So this is a Raspberry Pi 4, which is a Model B. I got just a sort of a standard sort of plastic case. I got a 2 terabyte Seagate hard drive, which is the actual disk, not solid state. Seems to work just fine by me. I also have a 32 gigabyte SD card in the bottom that just slips in here. Can't really see it because it doesn't zoom in all that well. And of course that's the lid there, so I can basically put that lid on after you slot it in place. And if you just you can connect the USB connector into the USB connection there, and of course plug in an Ethernet into there. And of course this is the official Raspberry Pi power lead, and that's got a, I believe, USB-C, and that can plug into this one right here. So that's the power plug there. So yeah, so you can plug all three of these things, and I'll just show you what that looks like all in one piece. Now, of course, this is the node all put together. So basically, I've got the Raspberry Pi here, the 2 terabyte hard drive, all plugged in via USB, and that's the Ethernet plug, which you connect to the internet, and the power plug, which obviously you connect to the power. This is also something you need to go and get. So this will flash the 32 gigabyte SD card. You just basically slot it in the back there, and after you flash it on your computer, you will just slot it into the back here. So that's basically where it slots in there. And of course, it's optional if you want to have a actual screen on the front, but for this setup you don't really need it, because you basically can view everything via your local network, and just look at it through the browser. All right, just for reference, this is what my first node was. So this is basically an Intel NUC, which I run Bitcoin Core on, and it basically runs a Windows operating system. And the reason why I went for it first was because I'm obviously a bit green to Raspberry Pi setups, and you could install a screen, you can connect the internet, run the power internally, and also have a solid state hard drive installed. But of course, it was not very helpful, and plus the size difference is significant.
Now this does run very poorly. It's not the fastest thing at all. It will think quite a lot. So I personally don't recommend doing this sort of option. I do personally recommend just going straight for the Raspberry Pi, just avoiding this step altogether, as it was a bad idea.
Now, of course, once you've built your device and you basically put it together, just make sure that your hard drive is empty, because it will format your actual hard drive. And so you don't want any family photos on there because you'll lose it permanently. But when you're ready for that, you basically got to download. And of course, these guys here have got, they will provide, they will sell you a full version. But if you don't want to do that, you can go out there and build one yourself. Now you basically will download the image, and this goes on the actual flash drive itself. So you got to pick which one, and obviously my one was the Raspberry Pi 4, so I would download this 2.07. Now you also will need to flash the image with Berliner Etcher. Now, of course, how to do this is on both those other channels. So I don't need to go into the full detail, but you can go back and watch those. And it's all fairly simple. And of course, so to be able to connect through the Ethernet to the actual via the network to the actual node itself, you basically copy in one of these addresses, or you actually find the device IP if you want to be a little bit more specific. So you can actually copy this and then paste that up here. So now it's signed in. So I've already set up this with the sign in before, but effectively, so this is my node here. So basically, up on the left here, we've got Bitcoin running here. I haven't created any Lightning wallets or anything like that. I have enabled the Electrum server, and I have enabled the Explorer. These needed to be booted fresh to be able to actually sync up the blockchain. And this one did download. It downloaded a large bulk of the main part of the blockchain from other myNode users. So I actually downloaded a very large zip, and it unpacked it and then verified everything up to today's date. And of course, as I said before, the Electrum server that needed to refresh and validate everything as it goes. So I'm just going to pay for the myNode Premium. So I'll just fill out my details. Okay, so that's paid. So I went and purchased the myNode Premium membership, and so I can enter that now just by going to Settings and then go to Enter Product Key. So I'll just do that. I'll just save that product key. It turned up valid. Okay. So now I have an official premium myNode membership. Now, what I will mention, so this had 2 terabytes of hard drive here, and I've obviously taken up 38%. And the setup on my Raspberry Pi was quite poor. The actual heat sinks on it were quite poor, so I'm at 57 degrees. It's not too bad, but I've been told that if it goes above 80 degrees, that it's not a good thing. And so in this, you can basically look at the. So in this, you can see the actual status of the Bitcoin blockchain. So this has all of the information, and I have blanked out some areas which are more private for me. But this is some of the most recent blocks and their amount of transactions, size, etc., and a whole series of peers down below. So my node is actually connecting to all these peers down here. and so they are feeding information to and fro. Now back on the normal network here, so you can actually go into the Explorer here, and it will open up a open source Bitcoin Explorer. And one of the good things about this is that you can actually unplug your entire network from the internet, and you'll be able to explore all the transactions just on your node. And I mean that is one of the good reasons to have a node, is the fact that you have all of the data that you need at your fingertips, and it's all within your house. So you don't have to search out on blockchain.info to be able to go out there and find it. And so we can go in there and we can click on any block that we like, and it'll show all the data that's happening inside there, including all the transactions, like like the block reward there, and be able to click on any transaction here, and I'll have to reboot it again for that. I found that this doesn't boot up, and you actually need to reboot to be able to get it to work. But essentially, that's that. So that's where I'm at this point in time. I know there's quite a few others who are much further ahead, being able to connect some hard drives. But at this point in time, I have tested a few things, and I obviously have a few more things now to enable. So I'll have to come back to this. All right. Well, I've given you a bit of a light overview on my actual myNode at this point in time. I have already installed an Electrum wallet and verified it, and then just prodded around. But I'm not going to show what's actually inside that, because I've obviously put a few things in there. But I have now activated the mempool space, and the mempool space it's starting to build. It builds a little bit at a time, so it's not quite as full as the actual website's version. So it will build from your node's data. And so this is kind of where it's at right now, which is it's starting to form into a full scale version, just like the website. I am generally going to wrap it up there for this part 2. What I do intend on doing is maybe putting a Bitcoin Core on my own computer, just as a pruned node, just so that I can prod around inside Bitcoin Core. And of course, someone who wants to maybe go out there and investigate a full node today, instead of having to wait for a Raspberry Pi to be purchased and to turn up weeks later or whatever like that, you can go and download the Bitcoin Core wallet today and start syncing today. Obviously, you got to deal with the memory size. But as you can do, you can prune it. But I will investigate that in part 3. So I'll leave it at that for tonight. All right, thank you. Thanks for listening.